ruler. And I'm gonna have Sherry go get something because you're gonna win a couple people are gonna win some prizes today. So I'm gonna demonstrate how to use these blocks, but I don't need these blocks because I've already made mine. So I can do one of two things. I can throw these in the scrap pile, or somebody could win them.
Already made?
Huh?
A block already made?
Uh-huh.
Cool. For the mom?
Not the whole block. But your cat's cradle block, 2 of your cat's cradle blocks, 2 out of 4. How about that? And how about 4 flying geese already made? How about that? So, and I forgot, I was gonna get little tickets. So we're gonna get Sherry to pull over little tickets and so, or I could just throw them in the garbage.
No.
Wouldn't that be a darn shame? You know, but I don't need them.
She'll be right over.
So that would be a shame just to waste them. Could you go get tickets and something to put them in? You know, the prize ticket kind of things?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, could you get those?
Sure.
Because somebody's going to win a prize.
Okay.
Or 2. Yeah, so. Okay, so Cat's Cradle ruler. I'm sorry I didn't have any for you. We have the Cat's Cradle XL, but you don't need the big one. You want the small one. And I think we use it again later on at the end. So Cat's Cradle ruler, it's a lot of fun. And I'm going to demonstrate how to use it. So step by step will be in your video. So don't panic. So you know how to do that. You're going to stop your video, do the step, start it up, do the next step, start up, do the next step. Okay, so let's go through that. So let's go through the fabrics that you have with you this month. So you're not going to use her cutting instructions. You're going to use this sheet. Because you're going to use the instructions. You're going to use the Cat's Cradle ruler to make steps 1 and 2. You're going to use the Cat's Cradle ruler to do that. And then instead of using step 3 to make your flying geese, using triangles, you're going to use your ultimate flying geese ruler. And then you're just going to sew that piece on for step 5 and put your block together. Okay? So we'll talk about that. So I'll take you step by step on how to make the block.
Is everybody getting one?
And then I need a Kleenex. I'm very needy.
You don't want lunch today, do you?
No, I'm very needy. I'm very needy. Otherwise, I'm going to be sniffing in.
She said she needs a basket.
Yeah, I'll look at that.
She'll get us something to throw them in. Okay. So, you are going to start out by using your background, which is this little piece of fabric, this little guy. And you're going to cut a 5. So, on the top of your paper, wait, how about this? On the top of your paper, it gives you the cutting instructions, and maybe we should go through that. Would that be easier if we go step by step? So you're going to cut a 5 by 6 inch piece of fabric from your background, and that's going to be used for your cat's cradle. Okay, then you're also going to cut a 5 3/4 inch square and that of background, and that's going to be used for your flying geese. And you're going to make 4 flying geese out of that square. The 5 by 6 inch background piece, you're going to cut 2. Because when you make your cat's cradle block, you make 2 cat's cradle blocks. Thank you. Out of each set makes 1, it makes 2 blocks, and you need 4. So you're going to cut 2 of these, okay, out of your background. Then your vintage blue is your center square, and that is, oddly enough, this is your center square, which is this guy right here. That's your center square. Okay, so that's your vintage blue, which is an odd name for that. I know. That's why when I first started this, I had all of my fabrics, and I'm trying to figure out what's what, and being very nervous to not cut the wrong thing. And sometimes, well, the picture, I kind of went by process of elimination. The picture for that was pretty good, so I kind of figured that out. So you're going to use a 4 1/4 inch square of that. And I tried to put what step you kind of use those from in, so you kind of know where you're going to use them. Okay, then the next one I put denim navy, and I kind of, I guess, at the beginning I was confused about what was what. So it's actually navy, so you can kind of cross that off, and that's for your flying geese, and that's going to be these really dark ones. So you're gonna cut 4 of the really dark ones. Those are the really dark navy blue, and they're the Morse code ones. So they look like Morse code. Okay, they're the little dots and dashes. The little dots and dashes, because there's a lot of blues, and there's a lot of dark blues, because like this is kind of dark, that's kind of navy, and so it was hard to tell. So it's the dots and dashes, the navy blue. Yeah. So those you're gonna cut.
Navy is navy?
It's just navy.
Okay, and then the navy is what?
And then the navy is actually the denim. I'm getting there. I was getting there. Okay, so the navy blue, yeah, so the navy is your dots and dashes, and that's part of your flying geese. Okay?
You pull one that doesn't have a name, use a number.
Okay. Then the denim is the like the watermarked one. That looks denim. That looks like denim, like blue jeans. And that's part of your cat's cradle, and you're gonna cut 4 2 3/4 by 3 3/4 inch rectangles. You're going to cut 4 of those. Okay, and those go into your cat's cradle. Okay, and then red, because you're going to have a couple reds. So red number 4 are 2, oh, that's going to be, where are they? Oh, those, I didn't cut those. Those are your little rectangles, and they're the little watermarks. They're the little watermarks. Those are your little rectangles. They're 2.5 by 4.5 inch rectangles, and those are going to go with your flying geese over here. Okay? Those go out there. Those are the watermarked ones. So those are red number 4. And then blue number 1 go with your cat's cradle, and that's these guys, the little hearts and, I don't know, the little hearts and the dots and the little deals. That's those. And you're going to cut, those are 2 3/4 inch squares, and you're going to need 4 of those, and those are part of your cat's cradle. Okay. Alrighty. So that's what you're going to cut for your first block. Okay, got that? Excellent. Now we're ready to start putting your first block, making your first block, the squares for your first block. How about that? All right, so the first thing oops, I'm going to stay right over here. The first thing you're going to do is make your cat's cradle. So you're going to have 2 of these. I'm just going to demonstrate how to do 1 set, which is going to make 2. You're going to actually have 2 of these, so you're going to do this twice. So you're going to start with your 5 by 6 inch rectangle. No, you're not. I lied. You're going to start with your 2 3/4 inch by 3 3/4 inch rectangle. And you're going to have 4 of these. You're going to have 1, 2, and then you're going to have another set. And then you're going to add your 2 3/4 inch square of the, the blue number 1. And you're going to sew those 2 together. And you're going to have 4 sets of these. Okay? You're going to have 4 sets of these. You're going to put them right sides together. You're going to decide which sides do you like the best that are going to be your right sides together. And you're going to put them right sides together. And then you're just going to sew at 1/4 inch. I'm not going to sit down. I think I'm going to stand up here. And I'm just going to sew this together at 1/4 inch. Cut. Just like that. And you're going to do this 4 times because you're going to have 4 sets. And then you're going to press it toward your big rectangle. Except I don't have my iron on. There we go. And you're going to press it toward your rectangle. Okay, you're going to do that 4 times. You can do that, right? Super easy. Got it. Easy so far? Okay, good. As soon as my iron gets hot. And you're going to press them all. These really are fun to make. If you remember, if you guys remember. So, all right, now you're going to lay them together, right sides together, and you can see one square is going to be to the left and one square is going to be to the right. Okay, you're going to lay them right sides together, and then you're going to stitch along the one long end. Got it? You can do that, right? So far, so good. Oops, I could have cut it. Okay, so there's that. So I cut that. Now, I sewed it. I'm looking because I'm going to cut it. So now what you're going to do is you're going to make a little clip. You're going to fold this in half. Can you see it? Okay, right there. You're going to fold it in half, and you're going to make a clip down to the seam, not through the seam, but just up to the seam line in half. Just like that. Not through your seam, but just up to the seam line. And then you're going to press. And you're going to press one, oops. You're going to, I'm going to get rid of this. Okay. You're going to press one going up and one going down. I'm going to go this way. So one is going to go up and one is going to go down. Alrighty? So they're going to go in different opposite directions. Just like this. I'm going to give it another press on this side so it looks a little bit nicer. They're going to be beautiful. Makes sense so far? Just like that. Pretty easy. Press it in opposite directions. First you press towards your rectangles. Then you made a little clip halfway through, folded it, made a little clip halfway through, and then you pressed like your squares going towards your rectangles. Alrighty, you're almost done. Super easy. I'm going to flip it over, make sure I'm doing this right. Okay, now you're going to take this. This is going to lay right on top of your 5 by 6 inch square. You have one more step, and then you're pretty much done. You're going to take the right ruler. Don't take your half square triangle or your flying geese ruler. So lay that over there. You're going to lay your ruler on here. And we're going to take this and we go, let me think, this is where I'm going to screw this up. We're going to go like this. We're going to lay this. I'm going to take it off there for a minute. I'm going to move this out of the way. There's a spot on here. Let me lay it on here so you can see it. It says, place on seam line, mark your sewing line. Can you see that? Oh yeah, you can see that really clear. Okay, place on seam line, mark your sewing line. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna move that out of the way just so I can. So it's really hard for you to see, I think. But that little line that said lay on seam line, you're gonna lay that right on that square where your seam line was. And then you can see these little dotted lines here. That little dotted line lines up with the edge of your fabric. And then this is that mark or lay on seam line that's gonna lay right on your square. So you're gonna lay that right there. Just like that. Now that line where it says mark sewing line, I'm gonna take my marker and I'm gonna mark right there because I'm gonna sew right on that line. No guessing where I have to sew. I'm going to sew right on that line. Now I'm going to flip it around and I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. I'm going to lay on seam line, right on my seam line. I'm going to line up that dotted edge, right on that dotted edge.
Karen,
Yes, ma'am.
when you look at can you pull it forward a little bit more?
Do you want it this way more?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I can. There you go.
Keep going.
Keep going. Okay, I have to go like this. Go under. There we go. I have to go under the machine. There you go. So you can see, here's my place on seam line. That's the line that's going to go on the line that I sewed right here. Okay? And then see this dotted line? That dotted line is going to go on my edge of my fabric. And then this line is going to be marked. See where that white line is? That's where I marked that white line. So now I'm going to lift this up and I'm going to slide it right under. So that's mark on, lay on seam line is right on that line that I sewed. And then the dotted line is right along the edge of my fabric. I'm going to line it up just a touch better. Just about like that. And then here's the place on seam line. So that's where my seam line is, where I sewed. Okay. Then I'm going to draw my line right along here and right along here. Alrighty?
This is only using a portion of the cat's cradle ruler, correct? We're not using it like we did in the class, other class.
Oh yeah, we're gonna use it. We're not done with it yet. We're almost done with it. So this is the first part. Okay. So now I'm going to just take this. I'm going to lay it on here. I'm going to sew right on those lines that I just drew. Okay. So I'm going to lay it right on there. I'm going to go sew that. I'm going to sit down so that I can see my lines, because otherwise I think I'm not going to be able to see up above. And, oh, I'm going to not move my needle. I'm going to sew with my needle in the wrong position, but that's okay. So I'm sewing right on the line that I drew. Right on the line that I drew. All alone without Bailey sitting on top of my sewing machine. Or chewing on my thread. It's amazing. I think I've been pretty good. Feels like that should have gone more into the corner, but we're gonna find out. All right, so now I'm gonna slide this out. Now we're going to flip it over and I'm going to use the ruler to trim 1/4 inch from the edge, I believe. Just double, triple checking before I do some cutting. So now we're gonna use the ruler. If you look at the ruler, you have a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So now I'm going to use that 1/4 inch seam allowance. Oops, see if I can move down here and kind of, I'm just gonna flip it up. So I'm gonna lay that 1/4 inch seam allowance along the seam line that I just sewed. And I'm going to cut, if I have a cutter. Didn't I just have a cutter? Okay, just like at home.
It's in your back box here. Can you find the
Is it in my box? Okay, I thought I had it out already. Okay, right here, and I'm gonna cut. Ta-da! And then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. It's a little hard because I have it on underneath. Okay, come on. I'm gonna do the same on this other one. It's hard if it's stuck underneath the machine. Okay, now we're gonna cut this one. All right, and we are making, I believe it is a 4.5 inch square. So now we're gonna trim these down. Just like all the other rulers that we use for Creative Grid, all of our squares, all of our blocks are too big, and we're going to trim it down. Can you see? Okay, not quite. Okay, we're gonna trim it down. So it's too large. So we're going to use, I'm gonna move this here. So we're gonna use the 4 inch trim line on here. So you see the 4? So the 4 is the finished size of the block when we sew it into our quilt, okay? So we're gonna use the 4 on here. So we're going to line up, so we have our little V here. We're gonna use the V where the 4 is on our block and line that up with the V right here. We have the dotted line here. We're gonna line that up with the stitching line on our block. And then we're gonna trim. So I'm gonna line the 4 up with the V and the stitching line right here on the block, and then we're going to trim off that excess, and we're going to have a perfect 4.5 inch square. Ta-da! And I'm going to do the same thing on this other one. Somebody's going to get this block. 2 of these. Maybe. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing on this one. I'm going to get this one all nicely lined up. But then we have one more step on this. Okay. Get that all nicely lined up. And then we're going to trim this one. And this one. And you can either press this open or flat. I don't remember what I did. Let me look. Let me look. It feels like I pressed it toward the background. And here. And toward the background on this. Move this out of the way. Ta-da. Ta-da. Can you see him? Look at how beautiful that is. Ta-da, ta-da. Pretty nice, right? Yep. Don't like it? I'll pass them around. And they come out perfect. You can cut off the little dog ears, which is what I do. My little points are perfect. I didn't cut off my little point. Ooh, ooh. And they measure exactly 4.5. And when you sew them into your block, they're gonna be 4. So those are gonna go right there. Like it?
Yeah.
Love it. So we will, at the end, we'll do a drawing for those. So somebody will have 2 of them done. They'll only have to make 2 more. So that's those 2. Okay, this next part of your block, do you need me, I'll demonstrate how to use the Ultimate Flag Geese ruler. Yeah. We'll do that quick. Okay, so I have it half done. So you're gonna start with, and you only need one of these is gonna make all 4 of your flying geese. You're gonna start with your 5 3/4 inch background square. Okay, then you're going to add, you're gonna lay your 2, you're gonna take your 2 navy. I wanna say the right color. Navy inch squares, and you're going to lay them diagonally on your square. Okay, lay a ruler down, or you can lay this, whatever ruler you have, and draw a line diagonally through those 2 squares. Just like I did, ta-da, right here. I drew a line diagonally down here, and I sewed 1/4 inch on either side of that diagonal line. Okay, now I'm going to take, and here I'll use this because this ruler's bigger. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to cut on the line that I drew diagonally through that block. Just like that. Yes?
It says in the instructions that it should be denim navy for the flying geese.
Yeah, I think that's on which one? This one? On this?
On your,
Yes, I said when we were going through. So it should erase the denim, cross out the denim, it should be navy. And then on the next one down, you cross out navy and put denim. Yeah.
So the circles are the navy?
The circles are the denim.
The dots and dashes are the navy.
The navy is the really dark,
That's a dish.
dots and dashes. Yeah, at the beginning when I was doing this, I was having a hard time figuring out what the colors and the names were, getting those together. And I didn't realize that I had them wrong on my sheet until I was doing it again yesterday, and we had already printed these out. And then I went on my sheet and went, oh shoot, these are wrong. So I was like, I have to remember to tell you. So the denim, cross out denim and put navy. Cross out navy and put denim. So the navy is the dark, so the navy are 4 3¼ inch squares. And those are that's the really dark with the dots and dashes. The next one down is denim, and that's 4 2 3/4 inch squares. And that's the denim with the light one with the watermarks on it. Got it? Okay, good. Because I want you to put the right things in the right spot. I mean, your world won't come crashing down to an end, but it'll just look a little different. Okay, so after I cut those apart, then I press them so they look like a heart. Sometimes they call this the heart method of making flying geese. Oops, I didn't press that quite right. So now you're going to press these up. Somebody's going to win these two. So somebody's going to have all, or do we? Yeah, I think they should get all 4. I was going to say, should we give 2 and 2? But somebody should get all 4. Because otherwise it's going to be weird, right?
So weird.
So weird. Yeah, somebody's like, yeah. Because I want to be the one that win all 4. That would only be right. Okay, so now you have those pressed like that. You're halfway done. Now you're going to take the other squares and you're going to put them in the corners, just like this. I mean, you literally can make them this fast. Now I'm going to take a ruler and I'm going to draw a line. I have my stuff in the way here.
What pen are you using?
This is, we have them on the other side. It's a sew line and it has just kind of a little chalk marker in it and it does erase off of here. Oops. Which is kind of nice to be able to see it on this navy blue fabric. This is moving. So sometimes I draw these lines before I put it on here because it's a little hard to get your line drawn over the bump of the seam. So sometimes I draw that line before I put it on here because it's a little hard to get over that seam. So I'm going to put my 2 pieces like this. Can you see them? So you're going to put them on like that, both of them. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to sew on either side of the line that I drew. If I do a whole bunch of them, I will take them and I will just keep going. So a whole bunch of them on one side and then I'll pop them off and I'll sew the other sides. Try to strip piece them. You can make these flying geese super fast.
Yep, I know where it is.
Okay. Alrighty. Now I'm going to cut this here. Now I've got to cut on the line that I drew here and flip it over. I'm going to cut on the line that I drew here. And now I'm going to press them. Now they're going to be ready to trim down and I'll be done. You didn't know this, Debbie? Where have you been?
I don't know.
1, 2. You must sleep through class. No.
I just ignore that part.
Why?
I don't know.
3, 4. I just made 4 flying geese that fast. They're all done. We just have to trim them up.
Well, I was just saying, so that's when you use the ruler.
Now we're going to use the ruler to trim them up.
Okay.
They're that fast. What size are we making?
I don't know.
I forgot. 2.5 by 4.5. So 2 by 4 is, we're going to use, letter D.
Okay, great.
So now we're going to lay, you'll be able to see one. I'm going to kind of put them this way and this way so you won't be able to see them all. So we're going to use the letter D and I lay them in front of me like they're a mountain or a teepee. And I lay this little letter, I don't know if you can see it, I'm going to bring it down here. I'm going to lay this letter D. There you go. I'm going to lay the little letter D on top of the teepee, the seam line of the teepee. So it's going to go like that on the little teepee. Just like that along the line that I stitched. Okay? And I'm going to cut, see if I can get that a little better. I'm going to cut here and here. And I'm going to do that on each one. Okay? Except I'm going to pick this up because it's a little hard to do when it's underneath. And I'm just going to lay it down on top of the next one. Trim again. Go to the next one. Do the same thing. Lay it down. Trim again. Pick it up. Lay the D on top of the teepee. Lay it down. Trim again. Just like that. It's very simple. Now we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to get that out of the way. Now we're going to lay it like a V or a valley. I'll lay them down again. And I do as many as I can at one time, because once you see the D or the valley, and once you have your eye on that, then you can pick it up, lay it down, pick it up, lay it down. Instead of going back and forth and reorientating your eye and your thing, once you pick it up and lay it down, you kind of have your eye on that, and you just kind of keep going. And it goes really fast. And I'll do, if I have like all different colors of these, I'll lay as many out as I can and do as many as I can all at once, because that makes it go even faster. So now I have them upside down, and I'm going to use the other side of the ruler. So now I'm going to look at the D again. So now I have the V and the valley is going to line up with the valley of that. And then as you come along here, might be a little hard to see, but this also has, as we're laying it out, it also comes along and it has like this right angle of dotted lines as well. And that's going to line up with the edge that you just sewed or cut. And you can see how it also has like the non-stick stuff or the non-slip stuff all the way around. So it's not going to slide around as you're cutting. So it's going to be non-slip right where you're cutting. And so you're going to go put the valley or the V right in the valley where you just sewed. Yep. So that's going to line up. Instead of going so you're doing the same thing. Instead of it going this way, now it's going that way. And now this lines up right where you just cut. That lines up with the line that you stitched. Now you're cutting there. That's all you're doing. And now it's perfect. Now you're going to pick it up and go to the next one and do exactly the same on all four of them. And now you're done. And now they're all perfect. So you're making them bigger and you're trimming them down. So you're trimming off all the extra stuff, all the extra messy stuff. Whoops. Get on there right. All the extra messy stuff. And they're all perfect. So you'll have 1/4 of an inch from that point to the edge of your fabric. All of your little edges, all your little seams will go right down to the edge where you cut. I just cut crooked. And I just made 4 flying geese in what? 5-10 minutes? Less than 10 minutes, maybe? Then I've talked it through. I mean, if I wasn't talking and I was just sewing, less than that. And they're all, each and every one is perfect. Ta-da! And you made 4 of them at a time. And they're all perfect. Pretty fast.
It is good.
Yeah. Because you've been making them, you guys have been making them. People in Sew Web Club have been making them.
Okay.
And we're doing them on our big quilts, on our Hyperion quilts, and we're making we're making a lot of them. A lot of them, and nobody's complaining. We're not complaining because we make them fast. We've made big ones, we've made little ones. We have that one in the middle was pretty small.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter because you're starting out with a square. and you're just putting a couple little squares on, and it doesn't matter. You're chopping them up. You're not sewing on those little itty bitty triangles.
I'm gonna hear the complaining at home about the too many frickin'.
Nobody's complaining at home. Too many freaking turns. So we'll draw for this at the end. So somebody will have for their first block all of their flying geese done, even though we don't care. We'll have all our flying geese done. Okay, so that's your first block. So you're gonna make your cat's cradle blocks for the corners, which will be fun. And then you're gonna make your flying geese. And then all you're gonna do is add this strip to the top of your flying geese. So you'll make these blocks, sew them together, and that's it. It's a fun block, super easy. Then you're gonna do the next block. You're gonna do a lot of half square triangles here for these corner blocks. Some more flying geese. The flying geese are, I believe, the same size. Let's double check and make sure, because I'm not gonna show you how to do those again. But those flying geese are going to be not 3.5 by 3.5. Those flying geese are going to be
4.5 by 4.5.
no, they're going to be 2. They will measure 2 by 3.5. So 2. So they're 4. Okay, so you're going to want to write this down.
Okay.
So for the flying geese, for your, I'm looking at the wrong one. Hang on, make sure I'm looking at the right one. No, for the wayward, you're going to look at D again. You're going to look at D again. Yeah, I flipped and then I looked at the next month's, and that's a different size. So you will look at D for the flying geese for wayward. Okay, when you make your flying geese, you'll look at letter D to size them up. For the wayward one on 4. For your flying geese in 3, they're going to be letter D.
What's new bar?
New bar is D as well. Letter D on your ruler. So they're both letter D. Okay, so that's easy. All right, so let's go through the colors on wayward, just so you know which colors who's who and what's what, because that's a little tricky as well. Okay, so, oops, boink. That little guy falls off sometimes. All right, so we have denim. So your denim, once again, is going to be, I have to flip this over. So your denim, once again, is going to be the lighter blue, the denim color with the gray water spots on. Okay. Red 3 is the red with the little hearts and the little, I don't know, X's and O's kind of thing on it. All right. Vintage blue, again, is this bluish gray with the little male letters on it. Background is your background. Gray is the gray one with the Morse code. Oh, did I do vintage blue again? Oh, okay. Huh. Okay, so then I guess I wrote vintage blue down again. So vintage blue would be that again. A 3-inch square of that. Then the red blue.
What's the blue number?
Yeah, what's the blue number 4?
Oh, blue number 4 is this blue right here. I'm sorry. Blue number 4 is the blue with the Morse code. Am I skipping over them? This blue number 4 is that. Vintage blue is that. Red. We got a bunch of colors here. What am I doing? Am I missing something? What did I do? Okay. Okay. Red 4. Oh, because I know why I have extra colors. I'm like, why do I have extra colors? Because I still have all the colors from the other one that we didn't use. I'm sorry. Okay. Red. What are we missing?
Blue red.
Blue red. Oh, blue red is the ribbon one. I'm sorry. Blue red is the ribbon. Red number 3 is the red with the X's and O's. There we go. So I think I don't know why I repeated it, but because those are all the ones on the bottom are for your half square triangles, so you're making 3-inch squares of those. So I think I put all those together because it was really confusing to me. When you kind of look at the instructions, it was really confusing to figure out which go together down there in your instructions. So I was like trying to figure out which ones went together. And again, to make half square triangles, they're sewing triangles together. We're not going to do that. We don't want to do that. We don't want to sew triangles together to make half square triangles. That's just stupid. In case you didn't know that. That's just stupid. Okay, so I told you how many, so you're going to be making, so to make your half square triangles, so you're going to be making 4 gray, blue, reds. Okay, so let's kind of put them together. You're going to be making 4 gray, blue, reds. So this is blue, red is this one. And where's the gray? Here's the gray, right here. So you're going to be making 4 of these. So I have you cut 2 of each, 2 3-inch squares of each of these. Okay. Then you're going to be doing, what is it? Vintage blue. So that's going to be this one. And red 3, which was this one, right? Red 3 is this one with the, nope, red 3. So then you're going to do 4 of these. So I'll put these together. 4 of these. Yep. 4 of these. So you're going to be cutting 2 3-inch squares of each of these and making half square triangles of each of those 2. Okay. Then you're going to be doing 8 of the background and the blue 4. Blue 4 was this one. So then you're going to be doing 8 of these. So you're going to cut 4 squares of each of these. Okay, 4 3-inch squares of each of these. Okay? Got it? Background and the blue. Okay? That's how that goes. That took me a while to figure that out for some reason. I think because I was having a hard time figuring out my colors. It took me a long time. Which is this one, and which is that one, and which is this one, and which is that one. So yeah, so figured that out. So that's what you're gonna do. So you're not gonna sew squares together, or triangles together. So you need 2.5-inch half square triangles when you're done. So you're gonna cut 3-inch squares. And you're going to draw a line diagonally through your square. You're going to sew 1/4 inch on either side. Then you're going to cut your cut on the diagonal line that you sewed. Ta-da! Then you're going to use, does everybody have the Quilt in the Day half square triangle ruler? There's one over there. This is the must-have half square triangle ruler. I've tried every half square triangle ruler on the market, trust me. Every time you go to the quilt market, there's a new one and they try to make you buy it. And I have tried them all. I have had this one since Thimbleberry days. This is the Eleanor Burns one. Somehow she figured it out 100 years ago and it's still the best. I swear, it is simple. It is simple. It does the job. It is simple. So on one side, you have your half marks for 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5. On the other side, you have your whole numbers. Oh, here, let me put on here. You have your whole numbers, 1, 2, and then you have all of your eighths and 3/8 and 4/8 and 3/4 and 5/8 and all of those weird ones that you might have to cut along the way, which sometimes you do. But you're going to use your half. You're going to use your half marks this time. So you've made your half squares. Now these were 3 inches. So now all I have to do is take this 2.5-inch mark, lay that and I'm gonna have to come back under here now. Now I'm gonna take that 2.5-inch dotted line. I'm gonna lay that on the line that I sewed, and I'm gonna trim. And I'm gonna trim off the extra. You can't see it because it's dark on dark. What have I got on the other side? I've got light. Well, that might be a little easier. I've got that red line is gonna, that red 2.5 inch line is gonna go right on the line that I sewed. And I'm gonna trim and trim. I'm gonna trim here, and I'm gonna trim here. Oops, I moved it because I'm trying to work over the little machine. I'm gonna trim here, I'm gonna trim here. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the other one. Now I would make all of my half square, all of my half square triangles, I would lay them out on the board in front of me. I would lay my ruler down, cut, go all the way, do all of my cutting all at the exact same time, and I'd have them all done. Go like that, that, and that. When I open this up, I have a perfect 2.5 inch half square triangle. That's it. You can cut your dog ears off if you want. Perfect 2.5 inch half square triangle. Perfect. Every single time. So whenever you're making a half square triangle, look at the size that it tells you to make. If the instructions tell you to make a 2.5 inch half square triangle, you need to add a 1/2 inch to it. If the finished size of, if your unfinished size is 2.5 inches and it tells you to cut 2 7/8, that means it's not giving you any extra fabric to square it off. So you need a 1/2 inch, you need a 3 inch if you're making 2.5 inch. If you're making a 3 inch half square triangle, you need to cut a 3.5 inch square to make that. That will give you just a little bit to trim out. You're not wasting, you're wasting this much fabric. But this much fabric is enough to give you a perfect half square triangle. If you get excited and you make your half square triangles and you press them all open and then you go, oh, I forgot to trim them down. You don't have to repress them. All you have to do is just go back in, lay your ruler on your seam line, and you'll cut here, here, flip it, and then cut the other side. And then what that does is it actually cuts your dog ears off. But I'll go through and I'll just like line them up and I'll just trim off all my dog ears because I don't like them on there. But this will make a perfect half square triangle every single time. And I use this all the time. I still use it. I still make my half square triangles bigger and I trim them down because they will end up cattywampus. I've made 500 million half square triangles and mine still don't come out perfect every time. They're still crooked. It's just the way life is. But I want them to be perfect when I put them in there. Why? Because I want all of this stuff to end up being nice and straight and happy when I sew them. So I'll take the time to make them a little bit bigger and trim them down because it's worth it in the end. And it doesn't take you long. And so you can see this ruler's beat up because I use it all the time and I love it. So it's awesome. So you're going to be making flying geese here, 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 and here, lined up on the D. So I would make all these flying geese. I would lay them all out, cut them, trim them all down at the same time. So you're going to sew these together with a 4.5 inch square in the center. And then you're going to make your little flying geese guys over here, or half square triangle guys over here. Lay them all out and sew them all together. And then you'll be done. You're going to be busy. They're not too bad. It'll be fun. Okay. So after class, I will settle in, and I will email this video to you. If you have any questions, problems, you know how to get in touch with me. You'll have my email address. It's got my phone number on it. You can text me. It's my cell phone number, so you can text me any time of the day or night. Somebody texted me last night at like 10 o'clock, and if I'm not sleeping, I'll get it back to you. Is this the right size? What letter do I use? It was actually. What letter do I use on the Ultimate Flying Geese ruler? Is that the right one? Before I cut 16 of these, I want to make sure. I'm like, no problem, but it doesn't make sense. Yeah, no problem. Take as many pictures as you want. Remember to kind of think about what you want for your backings or borders or whatever. We'll know how much fabric we'll have left over, hopefully next month. So we'll have a good idea for that. Don't decide how you want to pay today, so you can make your payments today, and we'll work on that. I would use gray thread, so I pulled some gray thread and bobbins for you if you want to pick those up today. Rulers, let the girls know if you need the Cat's Cradle ruler. So we'll be using that today, and then later on in the year, we'll be using it again. So I'll get those ordered. We'll call you as soon as they get here. It's Wednesday. If I order them today, they'll be here by Monday. So you can get them. So you can get your box. Oh, wait a minute. We have to do a drawing.
Yeah.
So we have to do what? 3. So you can you want half square, you want your little half square triangles too. So we'll do 3 drawings, one for the Cat's Cradle, one for the flying geese, and one for a couple of half square triangles. How does that sound? Hey, half square triangles are better than nothing. I'll even cut your dog ears off. How's that? Yeah. It's only right? Finish the job. You're gonna do it right. And see who went. So you got your little numbers? All right. I don't know where those blocks ended up. Probably in somebody's pocket. Oh, here they are. Okay. Probably somebody. They're gone. We don't know where they went. Okay, here we go. Here they are. Okay. So we'll do them in order. We went this way, and that way. So every month we should do this, right? Yeah. Yeah. It's only fair, right? Because you won't make.
Are you gonna make another one?
I can make a whole block. Yeah, I should make an extra block. Okay, first one goes to. Oh, it's just a ticket. It is 375. Okay. 686 1. Oh, Patty Lieber got 2 Cat's Cradle box. I didn't cut your dog ears off. You have to put your own. I'm not throwing your number back in. You only win one thing. Okay. I know. She wants a whole block done. Okay. Okay. Flying geese. 4 flying geese. Here we go. 375 862. Oh, that whole back row. That's not fair. I mixed them around too. Oh. Next time they don't get to put numbers in. They're just lucky. Okay, 2 flying geese. Let's try that. Or 2 2 half square triangles. Better than nothing. Better than nothing. Okay, try again. 375 854. Oh, Sharon Peace. Yay! 2 half square triangles. Better than nothing. Yay! Good job.